Hey guys, this is John here in Los Angeles with the Alpha Channel update for Friday, September 6th. Today we have Descender number 7, but first we're going to do the Yggdrasil deck. Here's the box. It's a nice heavy-duty box, magnetic box, with a book called the Bifrost. This is a nice deck. I wish the cards were colored, but you can't have everything. I suppose that would have made this really expensive. I seriously doubt decks like this make the money that it costs to produce them. Oh, this is Gerd Artfulness. And since this is an art-based show, I figured I'd show this one off first. She's a good way to start the show. Good way to set the tone. Yeah, I'd like to know her way more than the Reconciliation character. So today we have Descender number 7 by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. And this is... They could have almost started the entire book with this issue. I was thinking about what I was going to say about this, before I read it today, and my complaints with the series so far, and see if they were addressed. And they are addressed, so we will get to them immediately. Here we have an ice world with a character working his way through the landscape, looking for some people, and he's found them. And he asks for their leader. They explain that they're a commune, that they don't have leaders. And he says, that makes sense. He asks how they grow their food. And they stammer and hem and haw. And he asks them where they're hiding. And they show him to the robots in the basement. Or in the, the lower levels of their habitat. And the robots explain that without them, the people living here will die, and that they have children, and that they have no way to farm themselves, that the conditions are too harsh, and this character does not care. He murders all the robots anyhow. He's clearly a robot bounty hunter, and he's carrying their heads through the snow here. So he's basically condemned that entire community of people to death. And now we get back to Tim 21 and 22. This is an argument in a torture chamber of the Nish Kingdom. The Nish King is there, and a group of robots that call themselves the Highwire show up. Now I was thinking about this a couple issues ago. There was a character who looked like Rachel from Blade Runner, who is a member of the Highwire, and she gets some information and translates it to her friends, these robots, specifically one of them who looks like Megatron. It looks like a cat version of Megatron. This guy down here at the bottom. Or like a Japanese, Chinese, Ultraman robot. And so anyhow, that character translated this information and then committed suicide, which would have left a robot corpse. Now, in a society where robots are forbidden and you have people out acting as bounty hunters, a robot corpse would set off a lot of alarm bells. So I don't see why that character would have short-circuited themselves unless broadcasting the information, they would have been read and they would have been caught. It still doesn't make sense. And here's why it becomes a problem. Well, in addition to that, here we have Tim 21 and Tim 22 having an argument about whether or not he's going to go with the robots. The robots want to take him with them. The Nish Kingdom wants to rip him apart to figure out how the Harvesters, who showed up 10 years ago in this 9-planet kingdom or 9-galaxy kingdom or whatever it is, the UGC, United Galactic Council. The Nish is one of them. The robots are like basically the pirates. And he orders this kid, Tim 22, to execute the king of the Nish Kingdom. So Megatron executes one of the kings of one of the 9 realms. And Tim 21 does not want to go with them. He wants to stay with Telsa because Telsa is going to help him find Dandy. And meanwhile, the Nish, start a shootout, blah, blah, blah. So we're getting, I feel like we're finally getting somewhere. And it took 7 issues to establish this. So this would be a full, I would say almost an hour, well over 40 minutes into a movie or a TV show. So I feel like this, I have opinions about this, right? So Tim says he won't go with them. They say you can't stay here. And he says, I won't go without Dr. Telsa. And so they relent and let Telsa and Dr. Jin Kwan, who's just had his arm cut off, come aboard their ship that only robots are allowed on. And here we get back to... in the first issue, a group of scavengers were all killed by Driller. And also there's a scene where Tim is up on the ship and he's really upset that Driller and his dog, Bandit, and another robot have been left behind. He's like freaking out. And Tim 22 comments about it to his Megatron, who he calls father. And he says, oh, his emotion settings are too high. So here you have the story itself, dialogue in the story itself, negating Tim 21 as the main character. He doesn't make any decisions. As a matter of fact, this first argument where he says, I'm not going with you, I'm staying with them, is the first time he makes a stand about anything, really. It's the first time he took action or made a decision. So as soon as that happens, they then remove that decision-making power from him and say it's just his emotional settings. So if you negate the one act of authority that the main character makes, it's not really the main character. So here we get to, this is where it picks up. This is where the story starts, halfway through issue 7. Now, since there's extra pages after the staples, this is easily halfway through. What's happening here is this blonde guy who had the hood on, who went out to the ice world and killed all those robots, the bounty hunter, the really ruthless one, has returned and is collecting his pay for it. And he demands the pay that he was promised when the guy tries to shortchange him. And he also wants to know about any other robots he can hunt. And when he hears about Tim, he's interested, because this is obviously Andy. You don't have to wait till the last page to figure that out. He makes his way back to where the scrappers were, and let's see if we're there yet. No, we're not. This is just him running off. He doesn't even let his ship get fully stocked with cargo. He tells him to wait and he'll be back. Then we cut back to Tim 21. This is where he's heartbroken about Bandit and Driller, and where Megatron says his emotion settings are too high. And here we have Telsa telling him it's going to be all right. Here we have Bandit and Driller still as gladiators left behind. So there's some emotional impact here, okay? Characters are suffering loss. Things are out of their control. Andy's involved now. Andy goes back to his home planet, which, if he's been hunting robots all this time, I don't understand why he hasn't been back to his home planet. He could have done that anytime he wanted. He knew where he grew up. Here we have one of the scrappers who wasn't dead. His ship has been destroyed, and the habitat warns him that there's an incoming vessel. And so now he explains what he's doing there, and that Tim 21 is his tag. It's rightfully his tag. And Andy's like, I work alone, you're not coming with me, it's not happening. And this guy explains that, well, considering that I put a tracker on the robot, I am your new partner. Because if you leave me here, you'll never find him. And I will get out of here, and I'll find him before you will. And if you want to find him fast, you're going to need my help. So here we have the reveal that this is indeed Andy. And that is, issue number 7 is the first good comic of this series. The first good one. Andy's obviously a flawed character. He's ruthless. He's killing people. He's killing people. His actions are directly causing the death of other people. Whether they're human or not, I suppose. You know, if it was Africa, like... Here we have an ad for Monstrous, which I had thought about buying a while back. I saw that this was out. I don't like how dark it is. Comics are not photos. So here's the big difference, right? Your TV, they can light darker than real life because your TV pushes light through the screen. It has a different set of primary colors. The additive primary colors are red, green, and blue. Primary colors for printed work or hard material, hard copy material, are CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So you have 7 different colors that make up 2 different systems of presentation. This is lit for television. And it does not work in a comic book. It doesn't work. Also, we have a lot of computer aided illustration in this. A lot of copy and paste and adjust for perspective. A lot of 3D texturing. And I don't care about that. I'm pissed about the lighting. If they went with high contrast lighting, this would look like an X-Men or an ABC television show. Instead, I have to do work. I don't want to do work to see the images. The images should be blasted into my brain because of the high contrasts of lights and blacks. And this, maybe it would mess up with the dialogue balloons, but it doesn't matter. The art's what's important in a comic. The dialogue balloons are secondary. Go back and read Witchblade and be disgusted by how many word balloons David Twohy slathered all over Michael Turner's art. I've tried to read Witchblade over and over and over again, and I can't because it's just covered with captions and dialogue and sound effects and bullshit. I didn't even know I was going to go off about that, but look, this is a great comic. Don't do this to your work. And you want me to show you another example of that? I'll show you how close it hits to home. When you try and light for TV in a comic book and you get heavy with the blacks, the audience can't see what they're looking at. I have about 6 pages of this sporadically colored, and I will get it out here, and the color stuff is better. But the heavy darks that were used on the shading in my own comic are part of why I know this so intimately well. Check it out. It's PDF here in the description, as well as 26 hours of audiobooks, Legacy of a Mad Scientist, Legend of Ashley Fox, here on this channel for you for free. You can download the ebooks if you really want to do some work and read, but who are you kidding? Why are you on YouTube? No one's reading these days. And I don't blame you. I listen to audiobooks. You know what I mean? I don't want to do work to read a novel, mostly because my eyes are fucking shot and I have to wear glasses, and it's a lot more work than it used to be. So, I don't know. What else do I have to talk about? Not a lot. There's some things I've been noticing, but not anything super important or that I feel, you know, these 3 rules about what do you need to say. Craig Ferguson's 3 rules were, does something have to be said? Does it have to be said right now? Does it have to be said right now by me? No. No. And I think Plato's 3 were, is it true? Is it helpful? And is it good for people? Or something. Oh, is it useful? Is it true? Is it kind? And is it useful? That's pretty good set. If you don't have any, you know, that comes back to if you don't have anything nice to say. Yeah, also say things that are useful. Say things that are true. You know, and if it doesn't, all my complaints, I've been thinking about this a lot since I've been going through all this little crypto stuff, the ups and downs of crypto. And when you're rich, all the other stuff, you don't notice it. You don't notice, and a lot of people, when you're busy, you don't notice all the other stuff either. So all the busy people who aren't rich don't have time to notice all the nonsense that's going on, the way the world's being changed around them, until suddenly their son is wearing a dress and says that he wants to be a eunuch. That's got to be a rough day. You thought you had everything wired, and now your son wants to be a girl. Man. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I did want to say that Yuri Bezmenov, everyone knows about him. I was listening to someone who was summing him up the other day really well. And they were saying that what the communists have to do to destroy a nation is first destroy the religion, and then they can get people to believe anything. People without a religion have no compass, and they can go, you know, you can tell them a man is a woman or a woman is a man, and they'll believe it. And that's where we're at today. You have a lot of really smart, really stupid people, really educated, stupid people, and a lot of really smart, uneducated people. It's a weird world. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next. So, yeah, just keep on doing your work. I've been killing it. I'm now writing 2 stories back to back at the same time, and that's going really well, and I'm drawing. Solving your money problems really frees you up creatively. I've noticed that. Now I'm just like full bore creative. I don't have operating capital yet, but it's coming. It's coming. So, all right, it's getting hot in here. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.